Okay, so we've got our cutaway pocket here, and the way that I've constructed it for the sample is that there's actually just a layer of lining in here, which is really quite fine, and there is a chance that that this will curl out and that you'll see the lining, but it's just this process is just for you to get your head around how pockets actually work. So another option that you can take is, this is a pair of my pants, is that there's actually a facing, so you can see the lining inside, and then they've attached a facing onto the lining here, so this front edge, so if it folds back at all you see still more fabric, and while our pocket has this as the main fabric goes all the way through, they've had a facing, a lining there as well, and they've attached a facing to that. So if you're worried that that just having lining coming to the edge here isn't going to be great for your design, then you can add in those facings, and I can talk you through that process, which is very simple. Okay, so back to ours. We have our pieces somewhere.
And the reason that you have lining in the pockets is so you don't add bulk to the pants.
Exactly, yeah, that's right. Okay, so speaking of lining, here's our lining piece. Okay, so it's just a 1 centimetre seam allowance along here, so we're just going to stitch this
right sides together.
Well, there's no real right side to a lining, but if you were, yes, the outside of the short, exactly. And if you did have a sewn on facing, then obviously that facing would be, the right side would be against the outside of the garment. So I just needed to
changing his foot.
My foot back again. Okay, now the lining can tend to stretch a little bit more than the outer fabric, so I'd sew with the lining underneath, and just make sure that you've got your raw edges matching here, 1 centimetre, and remember when you're sewing at 1 centimetre, the line that you can use is the line on the 4, so line the raw edge up with that, and sew that down at 1 centimetre. And when we sew down, we literally just keep going, so don't stop here. We're going to sew all the way down to here, and you should, and the point where you stop should be pretty much where there's where that notch is there.
Great.
Okay, so now we're going to understitch. So the understitching will just, again, like it did on the fly facing, will help roll that edge under. So we make sure that our seam allowances are all facing towards the pocket bag, and stitch on the actual lining piece. And remember, when you're doing these edges that are cut slightly on the bias, don't pull the fabric this way. It's better to just hold the fabric this way, because if you pull it this way, it'll actually stretch the seam, so it'll go wobbly. So if you pull it out this way, you'll get a nice, more secure seam. Okay, so you can see how that rolls under there. Now, so that's the edge finished. Now we need to put this under here, and you'll see that this is the extra side piece. So I've sat that under there, and there should be a notch at the top for you to line up with that finished edge, and the notch here on the side, which matches up here. But before we got too worried about the notches, if we flip it over, you'll see that this matches on the inside here. So now we're going to sew this edge here, sew the pocket bags together and overlock them. So you can put some pins in here. So this is a 1 centimetre seam, and you can put some pins in if you need to. And again, because you're going around a curve, just go nice and slow. See if you can manipulate around the curve. And also to make sure that before you get too far up the edge, match this up so you don't end up with it like centimetres off. So that's our pocket bag sewn in place. And now we just need to overlock this. So we'll overlock this with this right side facing up. So this is the inside of our short, and you can see the pocket bag there. So we're just going to overlock around here. So start at the bottom edge, because we'll want this facing up so that we see the nice side of the top side of the overlocking when we look inside the garment. And I'm showing off here, doing quite nicely around that corner. So if you need to stop and lift the foot up as you go around, do that, because it's a nice clean lot of overlocking around the corner there. Back at the machine here, we just want to we need to just stitch this together so that these bits aren't flapping around when we go to sew the back on. So there should be a notch on the side seam there, or on your pocket bag here, and that matches up there. And so all we're doing really is just starting there where the edge of the pocket bag is, and do this within the seam allowance. So like 6-8 mil, and we're literally just sewing these layers together so they're all secure, so when we sew the back on it's just one straight line. And the same at the top, there should be a notch here, so if you match that finished edge up there and make sure all your raw edges are matching at the top, again just 6-7, just so that it's within the seam allowance. This is our pocket, and then we can give that edge a final press, and we finished our pocket on that side.